right? But the budget's really, when you talk about budget resolutions, those are the guidelines. The real spending cuts happen either in the appropriations bill or in the, actually the bills that control the mandatory spending. That's where you focus your efforts. So, you know, I'm in favor of a lot of things in the Paul Ryan plan, but at the end of the day, I want to actually cut spending, and I'll go to the appropriations side of things and the mandatory spending.
I agree with some of that, actually most of it, but the Paul Ryan plan is a budget, and the appropriations is actually where they take those budget items and start divvying things out to the specific programs. So it's a great start. It's definitely, it will put us in the right direction, and I think we should listen to people who have the guts to put something like that forward, because we're in big trouble. We've got to cut spending. $16 trillion is what we'll owe at the end of the year, let alone all of the other obligations that we have to pay, the things that we're obligated to pay for. It's a lot. It's really dismal when we think about it, and it's becoming almost impossible to pay that back. We've got to start somewhere, and I think it's a great beginning.
No, I wouldn't support it as it's presently constituted, because he's talking about cutting Social Security as if it's just another. They call it entitlement. It's not entitlement. Yeah, it's your entitlement. You put the money in there just like you put it in the savings account, and you expect it to be there when you get old. And it's not just for us who are older. That sets a new precedent. And sets a new precedent that, look, every time you put money in there, you don't know who's going to grab it and use it for some other source. Now, you could raise the age. Certainly you could raise the age of being eligible for Social Security, because the workforce is getting older. But you can't just start treating it like it belongs. That's what's been wrong with that all along. But you can't just treat it like it's part of the general pool, and Congress can do anything it wants with it. That wasn't the deal when Social Security was passed. It's an insurance policy that we pay for, and we're entitled to it. So I couldn't support it for that reason. And then I hate to sound like a broken record, but we've got to increase the income from taxes on new energy development. Increase the income, and then talk about a budget.
Well, I do appreciate the budget that Paul Ryan, budget plan that Paul Ryan put out there. I think it's a good start. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think Paul Ryan understands that you're not going to get everything the first time, and you have to take steps towards resolving an issue that everybody can jump on and vote for. So I think that it was a very good plan. I do believe that we have to go a little bit deeper in how we reform Medicare and Medicaid. We needed to Medicaid completely go to the states, reform Medicare. I believe Social Security needs to start over and have a 30-year plan. And now there's a 30-year plan about fixing it, but a 30-year plan to completely transition out of Social Security. So I go a little bit further on that. I think that what we need to look at, though, is look at a wholesale programs in our state, in our federal budget that we need to eliminate. The Department of Education, we ought to completely eliminate that over a short period of time. Department of Energy, that should be through the executive branch, administered by the legislative branch. There's a lot of issues that were talked about in the Paul Ryan budget, but I understand it was just the overall plan. We need to eliminate job-destroying programs like the Davis-Bacon Act and a lot of things like that. But I do support what Paul Ryan's trying to do.
You're going to get essentially the same answer in the sense that, yes, I would vote for it. But it doesn't go nearly far enough, nearly fast enough. We are at a turning point in this country. I mean, we have seen what's happened in Greece. We are seeing what's occurring in Europe with the Euro crisis that is tearing that nation apart. Really the only reason that we are in as good a shape as we are is because we still have the international reserve currency. We are still in a fairly stable position, but that will not last another 15 or 20 years. I much prefer plans that are quicker, balance the budget quicker, such as the Senator Rand Paul has a plan that moves us along much faster. Senator Mike Lee has ideas that move us along much quicker. And I would much prefer an idea that moves us to a balanced budget amendment, a controlled spending, something that addresses the entitlement reform, and balances the budget quicker than 15 or 20 years, because we simply don't have that much time.
Okay. This question is specifically for Mayor Love. You're running your campaign on the promises to reduce the size of government, reduce spending, and reduce taxes. Yet during your time as city councilwoman and mayor, you have done the opposite. For example, the city council raised property taxes 3 years in a row, during a recession, increasing it by 161%. You substantially increased the size of government, including many new city positions, and also have overspent on several things, including over $100,000 for furniture for the new city office, and have increased the budget by 64% since 2009, as well as the city deficit of over $2.5 million. That does not sound like the record of a fiscal conservative. Can you please explain yourself?
Absolutely. First of all, just to let you know that you're incorrect when you talk about raising taxes 3 years in a row. We've had a truth in taxation once, and Saratoga Springs in '97, if you understand municipal government, Saratoga Springs in '97, when it incorporated, it was a pretty much 1,000 people, 2 state roads, no infrastructure, absolutely nothing. Saratoga Springs was doing all of its business on building permits, and that was about it. When Saratoga Springs, in 2008, the housing market crashed. And when we went back to making the same revenues that we were making in '97, the difference is we had, instead of 1,000, we had 17,000 people. Instead of we had public safety, that we had the fire department, police department, roads and infrastructure. So we had a $3.5 million shortfall. When we set a municipal tax for the first time, and if you look at every single city in history, you have to do it once. Because you cannot sit there and just say, well, we're just going to be an ad development, especially if you're growing so much. I don't know how many cities you've been involved with that has grown 1,700% in 10 years. But it's a task. And we made sure that our property tax pays for nothing but public safety. You have to understand, I know what my role is. That is to provide public safety. That's like saying you want to cut the military budget in the United States. That's inappropriate. And so I was elected 60% of the votes after that, by the way. And Saratoga Springs holds the highest bond rating available to it. And we are well on our way. We are financially stable. And we will be for the next 50, 60, 70 years.
Okay, so I just want to follow up.
We got another question here. We want another one else.
That was a tough question. Good job.
That's a great question.
But as a delegate in the 4th District, I'm kind of concerned that Representative Matheson is leaving the 2nd as an incumbent to run in the new 4th. And we focus a lot on the differences between you as candidates, but what can you specifically do to beat Jim Matheson? And if the 2 former representatives in the middle focus on kind of being viewed as far to the right, and then the rest of you kind of not being known or being new, how can you, with that in mind, how can you beat Representative Matheson?
Who's next?
I don't remember.
I'll go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the question.
Basically, there's 2 things. I don't know if you've been here for the whole time, but we talked quite a bit about Swing to Victory, which is the latest. Where'd you go? Oh, were you here for the discussion of Swing to Victory? We've talked about that quite a bit.
I wasn't, no.
Okay, well anyway, I won't go through it all again, but it's unique software that identifies swing voters. If you can get the swing voter, Republican swing voters, you will.
I heard you talk about that. Doesn't the state
But then the other
already
thing,
have that?
pardon me?
Doesn't the state
Nobody
have
has
software?
it. I have the copyright to it, and they patent on it.
I believe they
And
do.
then the other thing is that energy and economics is the big issue, big issue this year, and I can more than stand up to him on this. I can really just, he just can't measure up to what I've known and written and my experience in this area, and that's going to come out in a big way.
Well, first and foremost, I can't beat Jim Matheson, but he is going to be formidable. And what you need to do to beat Jim Matheson, number one, you have to be able to go toe-to-toe with him and head-to-head with him in a debate and beat him. And he's a very effective debater. He's very good at it. If you look at past debates, he has absolutely embarrassed our Republican candidates. We put people up there ahead of against Matheson that look good on paper, but they can't debate him. They do not have an in-depth knowledge of the issues, and he picks them apart and he makes them look quite ridiculous. Now, we need somebody that has an in-depth knowledge of the issues. We can't have a political rookie go up against Matheson and beat him. We can't have a moderate go up against Matheson and beat him, because you're not going to, if you have a moderate go against a moderate, you're going to stick with Matheson, the moderate, or at least he portrays himself to be the moderate. What you need is somebody that has a deep understanding of the issues, which I do, can point out the failings of Jim Matheson to represent the people of the state of Utah. There's many. And then you have to have somebody that has been in the trenches that knows how to get it done. Now, one thing about that is that you talk about being far to the right or whatever. I'm a conservative. I'm proud to be a conservative. I'm not the most conservative legislator in the state capitol, but I am conservative. And I think people want a difference. They want somebody that's conservative, and you're going to point out the differences of Jim Matheson, and that's how I will be it.
You know what an extremist is? Anyone running against Jim Matheson. If you're pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, if you support state sovereignty, want to cut the budget, balance the budget, and address entitlements, you will be classified as extremist by Jim Matheson. If you are a Republican, you will be classified as extremist. He has had very moderate opponents from time to time in the past, and he classified them as extremist. What you need is, in fact, someone who can go up against Jim Matheson and can respond. When he labeled Morgan Philpott as an extremist, unfortunately, Morgan didn't have the financial resources or the backing to address that concern. He is going to label all of us as extreme, no matter how moderate we may think we are. I have the financial resources and I have the backing and the grassroots support to respond to any attack at any time.